we see the same dynamic in public policy preferences. We see the same dynamic. Martin Gillens has done this work from Princeton. Michael interviewed Heather McGee from Demos. They did a report. All of the same central, consistent dynamic. That wealthy people in this country now are living in such a different universe. They're not even aware of what's happening in the rest of society. They don't perceive where their charity is needed, or they don't care. Public policy people or politicians live within that universe. So you get things like President Obama thinking it's a good idea to offer cuts to Social Security. And he's trying to hedge his bet a little bit by saying, well, I didn't necessarily like all these ideas, but I put it on the table there. I mean, he really perceives this as the price that he's got to pay for a grand bargain. That's all.
That's exactly right. He also,
and it's not his price to pay.
That's right. He wrote, I think it was in The Audacity of Hope, he actually wrote pretty perceptively of how skewing it is to only be around a certain donor base all the time. And he was very reflective. He said, obviously, at a certain point, certain amount of dinners, flying on private jets, having a certain set of concerns, it distorts the conversation you're in. I mean, He self-diagnosed it himself several years ago. It's not as if he's an aware person.
It's not as if he's an unaware person.
It's not as if he's an unaware person.
Indeed. And Bob Greenstein, the head of, what is it,
Is it the Center on Budget?
Yes.
Center on Priorities.
Center on Budget and Policy Priorities.
And he was one of the early so-called liberal adopters in promoting the chain CPI. And in many respects, his very conditioned support was used as a way of justifying this within liberal progressive circles. But it is quite clear, he wrote a piece in the
Huffington Post.
It is quite clear that he is getting, he's starting to get a little bit concerned that he is going to be too closely associated with this idea. Because he wrote a piece that starts off, I'll just read you part of it, because he writes, there are two positions, essentially. The news of President Obama's new budget. Some commentators portray this proposal with the chain CPI as a test of fiscal rectitude, arguing that it more accurately measures inflation, period. And if you're opposed to it, you're not serious about addressing deficit. Others strongly reject the proposal, believing it would impose serious hardship on seniors with modest incomes. I'm not comfortable with either position. In other words, even though my prior support for this has been used as a way of justifying, I don't really have a position that you could point to and say down the road was incorrect. My position's more nuanced. And he goes on to say that he supports the chain CPI if you make sure that no one will be seriously hurt by it, even though it is clearly not a more accurate reflection of inflation. Now, what he hasn't done, and which no one has done, is come out with what the number is that we're actually going to be saving from this. I've heard numbers between 110 and 130 billion dollars that do not include these so-called protections. It's very easy to come up with what one of these protections are. Okay, because we know exactly how to break down the elderly. You're going to get a 9% cut on your Social Security benefits if you live 30 years. If you live to 95. You're going to get a 6% cut on your benefits if you live to 85 on average. 75, 3% cut. Now, we know that nearly 65% of retirees rely on Social Security for over 50% of their income, nearly 60% of their income. Now you can say, oh, this is not that much money. Over the course of 20 years, if you're making, if you're getting the average somewhere around $1,200 to $1,400, you're talking 200 some odd $1,000. And if you're talking like a 3% cut, or I should say a 6% cut over 20 years, you're only talking, $5,000, $15,000. That's a tremendous amount of money if you're relying on this for the vast majority of your income. And you're dealing with increased inflation in terms of buying power. And so, essentially, he's saying the case for the chain CPI is that it's a good thing if you completely defang it and keep it from doing what it's supposed to be doing. The other argument he makes, somehow it is going to rejigger the entire political dynamic. And it's going to take Social Security off the table. Well, this is just simply nonsense. It doesn't go anywhere near what we need to, if you are one of those people who think that Social Security is legitimately on the table because of its unfunded liability, 20 years from now, this doesn't go anywhere near addressing that. And it doesn't call for any increased revenues from Social Security. In other words, removing the cap. So Social Security is not taken off the table by this. From the perspective of people who think that Social Security needs to be overhauled, it's not even a down payment. That's ludicrous. And it's even stupider from a political standpoint if you think that the Republicans aren't going to run against you on this. Digby had an ad from Ron Johnson, who defeated Russ Feingold in 2008, I guess it was, 2010. Specifically on Russ Feingold voting for Medicare provider cuts. And basically ran a campaign saying, I'm going to protect Social Security and Medicare from people like Russ Feingold. And it obviously worked. There's no argument that makes any sense on this chain CPI. The only argument that makes any sense, the only reason why you would offer this, is if you believed this was going to cement your standing and provide for your legacy. I was able to forge a grand bargain. Even if it meant more cuts in Social Security later, whatever. Maybe even more so.
Yeah, I would just add to that the other kind of argument a base argument about Social Security is that one of the reasons that it's been relatively protected is because it's a universal program. And then as soon as you take a broad-based hit, and then even if you carved out genuinely generous exemptions for really vulnerable people, how likely that then that's welfare again? That will be targeted relentlessly.
Yeah,
And
I
it
mean,
won't have
listen,
the broad-based support.
I am not as nervous about support for Social Security waning because it is more or less generous to certain people. Because look, the numbers are the numbers. It has 80+% support. Maybe under this plan, somehow it drops to 70%. Bottom line, they're attacking this no matter what. They're attacking this no matter what. And when the Republicans see that they can get benefit out of making the Democrats own these cuts, the political value of Social Security will still be there. No, the problem with these cuts is the cuts. Because we already have a brewing disaster in the other two legs of this three-legged stool.